Yes, welcome to the No Say Project. I'm your host, Marc Stevens, author of Government Indicted. It is episode 24 of the live edition of the No Say Project, commercial free. And hopefully, very, very soon, this will be the last few weeks that we're doing it on Ustream. But I do appreciate everyone tuning in. Oh, I forgot to add the title of the broadcast. Well, it shouldn't matter. Everyone knows what it is. It is July 5th, 2017, and you want to join me on the big show, you may do so at 218-632-9399, 218-632-9399, and Skype is Frank Rizzo 3, but please instant message me first so that I can bring you up and we don't have another caller on. Right away, we're only a few weeks away from Jackalope 2017 in Bacchus Meadow, beautiful Bacchus Meadow, Arizona. For those not aware, it is an hour and a half to 2 hours northeast of Phoenix, and it's absolutely beautiful. What Jackalope Fest is basically just, it's a week of camping. It's pretty remote in this part of Arizona. It's beautiful, but I don't remember if you get a cell phone service out there. It doesn't matter. Who the hell wants to talk on a phone anyway? It's beautiful up there. And it's for anarchists, people who refuse to accept the double standard that it's okay to lie, steal, kill, and cheat people for no other reason that you're calling yourself a government, that the basic principles of right and wrong do not apply. Oh, do I got these? I heard something right before the show that I'll play. This was fantastic. But I want to thank everybody for their continued support of the No State Project. I do appreciate all the donations. It doesn't matter what the size of the donation is. I do appreciate the, just someone going to bat to help keep the show going live. I do appreciate that. Also want to make sure that if anyone is in the Mesa area of the Phoenix Valley, that if you know of a place where we could do a live broadcast of the show on a Saturday, hey, even on a Wednesday night now, because we could do this live broadcast, we could do that from a place, and then we can have a blues jam after that, so we kind of need an open mic night place so we can do that. That would be awesome. But I heard something right before the show, and I had things I'm going to discuss. I had another one of these prosecutors today. 7 minutes before she hung up, but it's good. And so what I heard here just kind of sets the stage here. And I guess when I do the podcast or the video cast that I do post on YouTube and I'll have the graphics, maybe I'll see what I can do about getting the actual video in there. But for now, you're going to have to deal with just the audio, so I'm pretty certain this is going to come out. But just know that if it doesn't come out, it will be part of the video, the HD video. I know this is kind of crap what you're getting right now, but we do have the HD video, and that will be episode 24, of course. So this to set the stage for the show. Boy, this is good. Politicians are so full of crap. I think here his eyes probably are brown. Nothing wrong with brown eyes, though. But Chris Christie trying to justify closing, being on the beach that he said, ordered closed. And I don't have all the details. It's not important for what I'm going to play for you anyway. But listen to this lie. For those who don't know, Chris Christie is the governor, so-called, of the criminal syndicate called the state of New Jersey, or the government of New Jersey. And so let's see, we got the volume up here. There we go.
And talking to our guests. I don't apologize for it. I don't back away from it. And I think my poll numbers show that I don't care about political optics. What I care about is doing what's right and wrong. And what was right for my family,
did you hear that?
My family to be together and for me to be with them. Show that I don't care about political
Listen to that
optics.
again.
What I care about is doing what's right and wrong. And what was right for my family.
You have a politician who's saying what he cares about is doing what's right or wrong, right? Like he's making a distinction between right and wrong. If that were true, oh my gosh. No, Mr. Christie, you don't give a damn about right and wrong, because if you did, you wouldn't be in a position of such power where everyone physically in New Jersey is forced to pay for your organization. Oh, but it's legal. I thought you cared about what is right and what is wrong. And what is wrong is to force other people to give you money. Hey, like you have to tell an adult that? Do you really need to say that to an adult? It's wrong. But we're going to build roads. It's wrong. Just because something is legal, just because your friends in the robes or in the legislature, just because they say it's legal and okay for you, doesn't mean it is. See, it's that Latin phrase. Let me see if I get that. I want to make sure I get that absolutely right over here. Yeah, that's what we got. The Latin phrase to describe how politicians, their words and how meaningless they are is vox et praeterea nihil. Words and nothing more. But the legal alchemists, people like Chris Christie, Donald Trump, Ryan, the Ryan guy from Wisconsin, they think that when they say things, it changes reality. It actually creates new reality. That things are true for no other reason than because they say so. That when you go through the old logical fallacy, the proof by assertion, it doesn't apply. Oh, but Marc, you're talking about real logic. But courts just deal with legal logic. We're not talking about court. It's Chris Christie. He's not a judge. Cops aren't judges. Cops aren't always in court. Most of the time, they're not in court. Proof by assertion. Something is not true just because someone says it's true. Someone can say, I identify as a female. The chromosomes are going to say something else. So just saying it doesn't make it real. And so in legal land, when you have a prison system, who needs silly things like evidence, witnesses, logic, a valid argument? Who needs that? Chris Christie and any of these politicians that can't answer a straight damn question? Gosh, that gets me. Answer the damn question. You don't know right from wrong. And if you do know right from wrong, well, yeah, they do know right from wrong. You know right from wrong, but that's not how you live your life. You live your life based on what a politician has said before you or what you have said. You live your life based on legal and illegal. So basic principles of morality, basic principles of human ethics don't ever enter into the picture because all you're concerned with is a judge going to let me do this? Is the establishment going to be okay with me doing this? That is your yardstick. That is your morality, not basic principles of right and wrong. My gosh, if this guy had a basic principle of right and wrong that he stuck to, he should not be able to sleep. The stress, just the agony of all the people he has hurt. And we're talking just when they closed that damn bridge a number of years ago where several people died because emergency services couldn't get through because he closed a bridge. I'm talking about everyday common occurrences, everyday things, forcing people every single day to give you money or you put them in prison. Putting people into prisons every single day and destroying families because people have a plan that you don't like and you don't want them to have. That is wrong. You do not put people in prison. You do not punish peaceful, innocent people. That's wrong. And it's always wrong to force strangers to give you money. Even in New Jersey, home of the Sopranos. It's wrong. So no, Mr. Christie, you're not impressing anybody with these lies. More grandstanding from a politician who wouldn't do the right thing if his life depended on it. Oy vey, these people. And another thing before I get into what happened today. it seems to be that the spokesmen, some of these political spokesmen today are even worse than they were just last year, the year before that. Watch any of these political shows with one of these politicians on it, and I swear you'd want to throw your shoe at them. Because they can't answer a damn question. And some of them, I'll give them this, some of the journalists are getting better. They let them do their verbal diarrhea, their mini pitch, their free commercial. And then but you didn't actually answer the question. So I love when you get a yes or no question. Do you support XYZ? The American people are more what they want to know is their job secure? Answer the damn. That's why they had to do a thing where some shows are not allowing some of these politicians and their spokesmen. They're not allowing them on the show anymore because they can't get a straight answer, and all they're doing is giving free airtime to a politician to push their agenda. So don't let them on. My gosh, just answer the damn question. But I tell you, I got some questions answered today. I did. It's good. It's good. Didn't set any records for how long I was on the phone with a prosecutor. But it's probably close. 7 minutes before I got hung up on. 7 minutes. Now, if you've ever spoken with a prosecutor, 7 minutes is actually a long time. Now, I'm working with a guy, and this is in Vermont, and the backstory here is the prosecutor in court stands mute, just like Gene Killam in New Hampshire. Unless the hearing officer or the judge turns to them and says, "You want to do your job? Or do I need to dismiss this jackass?" They just stand there and don't say nothing. So no matter how many times Brian wanted to see the evidence being used against him, if any, she just stood there. Just like I accused Gene Killam numerous times of prosecutorial misconduct. I am accusing her of committing a crime, something she could get disbarred for. It could ruin her career. She just sat there. Not a word in her own defense. Nothing. Because the fact not appearing is presumed not to exist. If you say your claim is true, you have to back it up. That's the way normal people act. If you say that XYZ happened and is true, you have to have proof. You got to have proof. This isn't something I made up. Oh, Marxist and anarchist, what the hell's wrong with you? Why are you asking for proof? What is wrong with you? You make a claim against somebody, especially when it affects their life, you have to have evidence. If you don't, you're dishonest and you're a crook. Brian even reported to me that even though they were talking outside about a possible deal, and this attorney's name, and she's a prosecutor in Burlington, Vermont. Her name is Sally Adams, and I cannot get a picture of her. So we'll probably use the tick picture. She actually used to be on the other side. She was a public defender for a while. And so I did find a picture, but there's no confirmation if it actually is Sally Adams or not, so I'm not going to post it. So Brian is asking a prosecutor who's interested in discussing with him settling, which is what you do. You make these deals. He asks her straight to her face, "Do you have any evidence that just because I'm physically in Vermont, your constitutional laws apply?" And she turned away from him and walked away. Now, you can say, it's a stupid question. People with a prison system can make whatever claims they want. They don't need evidence. I'll go with your evidence, right? I know. I get it. But basic common decency dictates, basic professionalism. When someone asks you for evidence, you answer them. You can say, listen, you uneducated douchebag, you. I am a lawyer. I went to law school. I'm the expert. And I'm telling you, I don't have to prove that. At least say it to them. But to turn around in the middle of a conversation, discussing a possible plea deal, to just turn around and walk away? There's a reason why people cannot stand lawyers, because they tend to be arrogant pricks. And that is another example. So let's get to this. Wow, where do you start, though? All right, so Brian had submitted the motion to dismiss and the discovery/Brady request. For those who are new to the show, and I welcome you, discovery is the part of the pretrial procedure where the prosecutor has to lay the cards on the table. Because when you get to trial, there can't be any surprises. You have to know what they're using against you so you can adequately prepare a defense. And I can guarantee you, if you were launching a defense, an affirmative defense, be it mental defect, reason of insanity, temporary insanity, an irresistible impulse. Yeah. Well, little Jimmy Stewart never hurts. Irresistible impulse. You can damn well guarantee you would have to put the evidence for your irresistible impulse. Well, you'd have to put that on the record, Red. You have to do that. The prosecution and the judges are going to sit still and let you surprise the prosecution. No, the prosecution, like us, is entitled to be able to defend and to be able to challenge it appropriately. So that's why, unless there are exceptional circumstances, something that is beyond your control, you are not allowed to present any evidence or witnesses at trial that are not disclosed to the parties before. Yes, I know there's like I said, there's certain circumstances you don't have to. But discovery, that's what it is. The evidence that the prosecution is planning to use against you, which they have to prove every element beyond a reasonable doubt. Because the prosecution may not file a claim or pursue a claim or assert a claim unless that claim is supported by facts and law. Because otherwise, like we said here so many times, prosecutorial misconduct over here, even in Vermont. Brady material, more important, I think, because even in places where there isn't pretrial discovery, where you only get the discovery just prior to the trial, Brady is always required at every stage of the proceedings, even if you've exhausted your appeals and you have newly discovered evidence that there was a Brady violation by the prosecution. Brady violations are very, very serious, but judges, that's why he's telling me all these fellow Dagos and Guineas up there. I was like, what's going on in Vermont, all these Dagos? Yes, I'm half Sicilian, so I don't mean any offense by that. It's meant loving. Judge Crucitta, the name of the court is Costello. That's the Superior Court up there. Okay. The Brady material is any information or evidence that's exculpatory, that shows that you're innocent or not guilty. Any information that can be used to impeach the prosecution's case, whether it's their evidence or their witnesses. Now, If a witness does not have personal knowledge of a matter they are testifying to, the prosecution under Brady is required to say, my witness doesn't have personal knowledge. Why do we say that? Because that's impeachment material. You can impeach a witness for lacking personal firsthand knowledge, for not being competent and credible. And if it's impeachment material, such as the witness is not qualified, Brady requires that to be disclosed. Well, Miss Sally Adams doesn't want to do anything like that. She is being protected. Now, we're reporting a crime here. In the lay sense, this is against what Chris Christie was talking about earlier about right and wrong. What she's doing is wrong. What Judge Cassetti is doing is wrong. Because when when Brian asked in court about evidence proving the Constitution and Code apply because he's physically in Vermont, because it's not only jurisdiction, it is an element of the code violation. There is no violation without the code. It doesn't exist. This judge said, because I said so. Jurisdiction because he said so. Now this, knowing that your partner in crime is protecting you, Sally Adams working together with the same team as her, because she represents the state, Judge Cassetti represents the state. You all represent the same team. They're all on the same team, not necessarily representing. Because he has allowed her in open court to get away with that crap. Again, she's arguing without evidence. When I asked her on the phone today, we didn't think she was going to say anything because she's always stood mute. But she actually spoke for 7 minutes before she hung up the phone. Because that really is the sign of a true professional. Slamming the phone down in anger. So, wow. So when I asked her about evidence proving the Constitution, and she agreed that she operates under the presumption that if you're physically in Vermont, all the laws in the Constitution, she agreed right off the bat. That's how it is. So I followed up. I said, hey, do you have any evidence? What evidence do you plan to bring at trial to prove that that claim is actually true? And I quote, I don't have to have evidence to prove that. Well, because you got this guinea on the bench, this Cassetti guy who's not going to hold you to any kind of standard. She said, if you are in Vermont, the laws apply. That's it. That's it. But you see, there's your problem. It's not a pure issue of law. She thinks it's open and shut. Open and shut. I said, I understand that's your claim. Do you have any proof, any qualified witness with personal knowledge that just because someone, O'Brien, is physically in Vermont, that your Constitution applies to him? She says, I have case law. So isn't that just the opinion of a dead lawyer? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, anybody. 218-632-9399. The website is markstevens.net. Isn't case law, not the dictum, but the case citation, the case opinion? It's right in the name. It's like Bill Clinton with oral sex. It's right in the name. It's an opinion. It's just an opinion of a lawyer who's probably already passed on. And she tried to claim common law, and it's the way the country started. I said, yes, you have your common law. I'm asking you if there's any proof that your Constitution applies just because I'm physically, or Brian's physically in Vermont. She kept on saying she doesn't have to have evidence. She doesn't have to prove it. Why not? Why? Why is that true? Why don't you need any proof? I actually quoted Saul Goodman. I did that on this call. I said, it kind of sounds like your position is like Saul Goodman. I know a guy, you see, your position is true because you know a guy who knows a guy who knows another guy. I said, look, doesn't this just boil down to your position is nothing more than this? You have jurisdiction over Brian because you say so. And she says, that's right, because we say so. Because that's all precedent is. Somebody else said it. Because remember, they like to say this, every case is fact-specific. So, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they ruled on 100 years ago. What's the thing we used to say as kids? What the hell does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Where is your damn relevance, sir, ma'am, whatever? Because we say so. We've heard that before. So she was repeating what Judge Cazzetti said and what we've got on video from a few years ago here in Tempe, Arizona. We have jurisdiction because we said so. She tried to point out, well, all right, she's claiming she doesn't have to prove that because the case law proves it. I said, wait a minute. Let me see if I understand. You don't need a witness? No, I don't need a witness with personal knowledge the laws apply. Okay, help me out. Aren't you calling a witness to testify that Brian allegedly violated the law? Yes. So he is in a sense, he is really testifying that the laws apply to Brian. Yes. And he doesn't have to have personal knowledge of that? No. That's a strong witness, don't you think? So look at it here. The judge is the state. The prosecutor is the state. The cop is the state being a DBA for these three criminals. The police officer makes a claim that the laws apply and were violated. The rules require that he has personal knowledge. The prosecutor, Sally Adams, knows the judge is not going to hold it to that standard, so she can boldly tell me she doesn't need to do that. And the judge, who's again on the same team, so far has not applied the rule to this witness. Can you come up with, think of any particular reason, any rational, logical justification why the single most important claim of the prosecution, none of the rules apply to actually, to us when we want to challenge? And the rules being 602, the rules being that the claims have to be based on facts and law? How come that does not apply to this particular claim? And again, you cannot underestimate the importance of that claim. Nothing is relevant unless that is proven true. Well, where's the proof for that, Marc? You file a demur if there's no evidence of jurisdiction. And you have to do that before a plea and before the pretrial. We already know that if you go against them, they're not going to argue judicial immunity at trial. They do it before, because you do not discuss the merits, because the merits are not relevant if the court has no jurisdiction to begin with. So think about what this woman's doing. Maybe Brian can get a picture of her and we can get that posted. She is knowingly arguing without evidence, knowingly lying to me. This is this lie. It's fraud. Claiming she doesn't need the evidence. Now, I know there's two different issues here. Whether she needs the evidence or not, whether the judge is going to hold her to that. But we've seen all the jurisdiction. I'll have to put it in the video. Jurisdiction requires evidence, not case law. Case law is not evidence. If you think case law is evidence, you're an idiot or you're just a crook. Case law is not evidence. It's an opinion. And unless you're in a RICO action against the judge who made the ruling, it's not evidence. Not evidence. So she actually used that phrase with me today. So when someone's got you, and they're pushing you up against the wall with their questions, and you know you don't go, son of a, I don't have a damn shred of proof. What do? You ask a question to try to divert attention away. So yes, she hit me with the, what do you mean by evidence? Now, that could have just been a dodge. Maybe it wasn't. I think it was a dodge. I think this is a Sally Adams prosecutor up in Burlington, Vermont. Former public defender who should know better. Asking me, what do you mean by evidence? Aren't you the one with the Juris Doctorate degree? How would you like me to ask you that question if you asked me about my evidence against my claim against you? Well, what do you mean by evidence? What do you mean by is? What does is mean? If they had evidence, they would just put it on the table. Just tell you what it was. So I had to tell her. I know this might trigger one of them trolls. I said, for goodness sakes. Evidence is facts and information that proves a proposition is true or not. It's relevant to proving a proposition is true. And I said, your proposition, your claim is that if he is physically in Vermont, your Constitution, a written instrument, it's objective. As objective as this is. Your claim is that this written instrument applies to him. I want to know, do you have any information or facts that would prove that that's true? The only thing she can come back with is an opinion. Now, someone's going to Mark, that's information. It's not information actually proving the proposition is true. All it is saying is that the proposition is true. It doesn't give you any analysis. It doesn't give you any facts that it's based on. The information has to prove it. Again, proof by assertion fallacy. Just because a judge, who may be the smartest judge in the world, and the most augusted judge the most ever seen of course, doesn't matter what he says. What matters is if he is saying it based on the evidence. If there is a rational basis. If the premises logically support and the proposition. If the proposition logically follows from the premises. Here, like I've said 1,000 times, almost 9,000 soon, you have one premise and a conclusion. One, physical location in Vermont. And in your conclusion is the laws must apply to him. That is not a valid argument. The one doesn't reasonably follow from the other. And just because a judge says that that's true doesn't mean it is. This is what you are up against if you're going to go and defend against these people. And I'm saying this to encourage you. So you know in advance the crap that they're spewing. Don't worry that, oh my gosh, but they're litigators. They've been in court every day. If they had the proof, they would just give it to you. They wouldn't argue they don't have to prove it. We just give it to you. So the best this Sally Adams could do was to claim, I don't have to. We have jurisdiction because we said so. Now, does that sound like a rational adult to you? I would think that most people hearing something like that will be thinking, crook. Crook. That's what I think. We got a crook here. Honest people don't talk like that. Honest people don't base things off of vox ad praeterea nihil, voice and nothing more. Authoritarian criminals. It's exactly what they are. And this Sally Adams, if you do some research on her, and she is in Vermont, there is a Sally Adams out of Boston. There. She's not the one we're looking for. It's Vermont. And she has made arguments. She has made claims, she has countered prosecutors by saying there isn't sufficient evidence. Now she's on the other side. She knows. I just think it just how dishonest this woman is. And this Judge Crucitta. It's why I keep saying we are up against cruel, callous criminals in suits. Anyone who says to you, it's true because I said so, if you're able to, walk away. Just walk away. You're dealing with someone who's dishonest. It's true because I said so. And the thing is, there's a really good chance she's going to get away with it. She's gotten away with it so far. So we still have to file a motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct. So if it does go to trial, Brian does have the opportunity to put the witness on the stand. And, this is where they lose it too. This is why you need to do the role playing so that you don't get, you know what you're doing. You know how to counter this crap. Because on cross-examination, the prosecutor is going to make objections. We have to get our foundational questions in to set the relevance for the questions that follow. And the big question, you could just ask him straight out, did you witness me violate the law of the state of Vermont? Ask him straight out. He's going to have to say yes. And for you trolls out there, that's what's called prior testimony. And if anyone tells you that a question based on prior testimony is not relevant and proper for a cross-examination, your response should be a sound fungal. That's my legal advice. Fungal. You want to use that too. Well, how about fungal? So they know that you mean that. I am telling you, these prosecutors are the low of the low when it comes to only the CIA, I think, gets lower. These people will say whatever the hell they have to ruin your life. And they'll go home and not give you a second thought. They probably, by the time their car is warm, they've already forgotten your name. You are nothing to, they don't care. You have to actually go through this yourself to realize the level of cruelty that these people have. They do not care. So when it comes to time on cross-examination, you have to hit it out of the park. And I'm not saying that that's difficult to do. It's not. You know full well this damn Sally Adams, just like every other prosecutor, is going to say whatever they can to get you to back off and not make their witness look bad. So you know that. Knowing they're going to say things like that, you set them up. You set them up. What pride proceeded to fall is never more true than with one of these prosecutors. You ask the cop or the IRS agent, you ask the whatever code violator, code, enforcing pirate, whatever the hell they happen to be working for. Here it's a police officer. Did you witness me commit a crime? Did you witness me violate the laws? Now you got him. Now you got him. Now you're going to see some of the stupidest political posturing you've ever seen in your life. Some of the dumbest things are going to come out of that prosecutor's mouth. And I'm telling you, not one objection, not one stupid thing that they say is going to have any merit whatsoever. Not one. So when he says that the laws apply to you, do you have personal first-hand knowledge? Because remember, Rule 602, the personal knowledge can come out on testimony. Well, do you have personal knowledge that the laws apply to me? And Sally Adams is out of her chair. Why? Because it's devastating to her case. Because he doesn't have personal knowledge. How the hell could he have personal first-hand knowledge? A written instrument from 200 years ago applies to Brian because he's physically in Vermont. Personal knowledge of what? Still not. That's where you got to know. Remember the cross-examination. They are going to impeach their own witness. Their own witness. Well, what are they going to say? He just testified. He's already testified on direct examination. You've got a damn ticket with his name on it saying you violated the law. How the hell do you prove a rule is violated if you don't first prove it applies? That's what they want you to think. They want you to think that they don't have to. But remember, like I said, we're saying that the entire system as a whole is unfair. Not just this one proceeding. We do that by showing this. The entire system is criminal in nature. The courts are just a small part of it. So that's the thing. When we're going to court, and yes, if you go to markstevens.net, if you get government indicted and you're interested in challenging against one of these attacks, there's no way around it. If you want to be effective and replicate the success that we've had on 3 continents, even Israel, you're going to be challenging the system itself as a whole. And I got a ridiculous one. We'll have to get this in the video. You know what? I don't think we're going to just disconnect there. I did get a response. Somebody sent me a response, which is very rare to get a response from a judge on the motion to dismiss. And true to form, we got a really nice straw man. And I should have, but I'm doing the show completely off the cuff, so you got to excuse me on that. I'll have it up in the video because I'll have all the time I need to find it. But the judge responded by denying the motion to dismiss on the grounds that it was not only nonsensical, but that the defendant is making the claim, the false claim, that the Constitution and laws of the state don't apply to him. And it's called a straw man I believe it's a straw man, because that's not what is said. I wish I had the actual document here, and I do apologize for that. But hey, that's what happens when you do a show off the cuff, like we do here on the No State Project. It'll be in the video. So it's a very subtle straw man. It sounds right, and that's typical of a politician. They use some of the same words in your question to make it look like they're answering the question, but they're really not. They're not. That press secretary for Trump it does it almost every single question. There's almost no substance to the response, and she's not answering the question. The motion to dismiss, or the demur in California or Kentucky, or the application if you're in Canada, Australia, and England, is based on a lack of evidence to support their claim that this written instrument from 200 years ago does apply and create obligations just because I'm physically in Arizona or Vermont or wherever. That is a far different argument or position than saying the laws don't apply to me. Laws don't apply to me. We're not saying that. We're saying there's no evidence. And that's why they come back and they say stupid things like, well, we're not required to have evidence. We're not required. Oh, yes, you are. Your own rules require it. To make a claim without evidence is called misconduct. It's also a serious ethical violation that you could be disbarred for. It's a serious due process violation to make an arbitrary claim. There's no need for citation. That due process requires that it be based on evidence and not arbitrary. Something that's arbitrary, you can't defend against it. So, to get back, so we're talking about when we're in that cross-examination moment. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, this is a good time. You know, when that prosecutor, and I've said before, and people have reported on the show, you get the judge and the prosecutor out of their chair at the same time by asking, first, did you witness me violate the law? You did. You did. Okay. Do you have any proof that just because, I'm physically in Vermont, your laws apply to me? Objection. Objection. And when I say that they're impeaching their own witness, I'm not saying he loses his job like the president does or a governor. I'm just saying as a witness, he's not qualified. The judge and the prosecution are saying that the cop is not qualified. He's not competent or qualified to testify against you. Because again, what does Rule 602 say? No one may testify to a matter unless evidence is introduced showing that they have personal knowledge of the matters they're testifying to. And such personal knowledge can be brought out on through testimony. And the evidence you rely on to show that a written instrument applies to me because I'm physically in Vermont would be... It applies because we said so. Applies because we said so. That's what. So know when you're hearing these things and you're defending against them, don't think that, oh my gosh, they're gonna crush me. Not true. We win more of these than go bad. Yeah, there are train wrecks and we don't cherry pick. We put them on there. But just know when they're doing that, your accuser can't back up their statements. They can't back it up. They have to make excuses. Because as I said, hey, I'm going to make a legal claim against the prosecution, not a shred of evidence. You know what? Because I want the same deference from the judge. You're not going to get it. Oh, but that's different. That's a different one. That's the foundation of the country. About phone call. You either have the evidence or you don't. It's that simple. If you don't have the evidence and you continue threatening, you're just a crook. So we'll put up again, double standard. There's no way that this situation is fair, and that's something I got hung up on. I didn't get a chance because I would ask, oh, let me see if I understand you. Let me understand things. If I make a claim, a very serious claim against you, and I have no evidence at all, you're going to allow that, right? You're going to allow me to argue against you without it. And that's what I suggest that you do. Objection. Is the court going to allow me to argue against them without evidence? Because I can accuse them of some doozies. I'm not going to get all JT on them here, but I can accuse falsely, I can accuse you, without evidence as good as the next guy. But they're not going to allow it. And they're not even going to articulate the reason why you and I can't do that. Because they then are bringing out the double standard, so everyone in the room can see it, that they're treating that prosecutor different. That is not fair. I don't give a damn about legal fairness. I'm talking about fairness, period. Not fair. So that was our little escapade, the little adventure in legal land, and we'll make sure that Brian is prepped for that. If you are in the same situation where you're being accused of something, especially if it's just a code violation, you're not accused of hurting it, it's literally a code violation. You got to check out markstevens.net. Call into the show. Government Indicted has a full model for how to defend against these things. So no matter what they throw at you, you don't have to feel stressed out or that you can't defend yourself because it's a very, very simple process. You're just asking these questions and bringing out the contradictions in what that these people are laying at your feet and getting away with and will get away with if you don't object and call them out on their BS. We don't have to prove that. Objection. Can I argue without evidence against the prosecution? No. Why? Why? you know what? Maybe one of these days what we'll do, we'll file against one of these people, or where somebody may, that's the thing, is we're risking prosecution if we make an allegation without any evidence. So maybe it's not, but hey, maybe that's what somebody wants to do. Somebody could turn around and just to see what the prosecutor does, go ahead and accuse the prosecution of something with no evidence. See, when we accuse them of prosecutorial misconduct, we've got the evidence. We can show the evidence. It's very easy to do. I'm talking about just accuse him of something else. But yeah, we're risking prosecution. They'll come after us. And I know we can say, well, you're not going after the prosecutor. Well, of course, because he works on the same team as me, you moron. You're accusing my teammate. I guess we just have to stick to objecting and asking the question, hey, do I get to argue against them without evidence? And it's not that we want to do that. We just want some semblance of fairness if you're going to attack us, but they can't even give us that. Because they're not in the fairness business. People who force you to pay them are not in the fairness business. We know that. I think we'll wrap up here a little bit early. That was kind of my cue. Appreciate everyone tuning in today. We'll get this up on the... if anyone disagrees with what I presented here, you're more than welcome to call in with some evidence and some logic to show that I've gotten my analysis and my facts incorrect. Remember, Jackalope, the 31st of July to August 6th, Bacchus Meadow. We have that linked at markstevens.net. I'm going to be there at least one day. Definitely check that out. I appreciate all the support that we do have for the big show. And... look forward to seeing people at Bacchus Meadow. So we will not be live this Saturday, but we should have some pre-recorded material. Or I'll let everybody know I will do another live stream like this on Friday, but we'll see. But it's definitely not going to be live on Saturday. Again, my name is Marc Stevens, the website markstevens.net. This has been episode 24 of the No State Project live on July 5th from the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona. So till next time, salud.